That's right. You spent 8 hours in the truck with him.
Ooh, you know what? That's the best conversation he's ever had in his life.
Oh my God.
He learned so much when we ride in the truck together.
Trey probably talks like 15% of the time, and you talk 85.
I'm like this, but
that's so true though.
Oh my God, that was so good. That was so good. But can I just need to go pee. Shut up. Oh my God. I'm trying to talk over here. Welcome to the Tom Castro Shooting Academy podcast. You have now entered the next level. What's going on, guys? All right. So this is a brand new episode of the Tom Castro Shooting Academy Next Level podcast. I have a very special episode for you guys. I have quite a few guests this week, actually. So I'm sitting down with Mr. Todd Holmes from South Carolina. Mr. Tyler, how do you say your last name, Turbo?
It's classified.
I had to get the turbo part in there. It's very, very important. I knew how to say your last name. I just wanted to make sure I said the turbo part. And Mr. Craig Magalani. All right, guys. So this week's podcast, or this month's podcast, whenever I get the next one out, is all about match prep for nationals / big matches. I don't want to talk about just nationals, but I want to talk about big matches as well. But nationals is a beast in itself. So that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about, or that Todd actually wanted to talk about. So I figured it'd be a great podcast, kind of get that information out there, because he was asking some questions about it. And I figured it would be a great podcast because there's a bunch of information that a lot of people don't know that are maybe going to their first nationals this year and haven't gone to any. I have been to, I think, 4 nationals now. A couple of them were in my home state. Some were out of the state. So I figured let's have the conversation. All right. So Todd, since you brought it up, you're first. Why did you want to have this conversation?
Never shot a multi-day match before, period. And it's really 3 days is very intimidating to me. So I want to make sure that I can get as mentally prepped for what's coming up in, what is it, 3 months now that we'll be shooting carry optics?
I think so. I think it's coming up. It's what is it? Is it October, September?
Yep. September 9th, 10th, and 11th, something like that. So yeah, it's almost 3 months away.
Yeah. It's getting closer and closer, man. It's so I switched over to carry optics so I could get ready for it, give myself the most amount of time I could instead of shooting open. Well, let's start off with this. So you haven't shot any. Tyler, how many nationals have you shot?
Just the one.
And the one, actually, that was the one I met you at, low cap, right?
Yep.
Okay. And that was out Talladega?
That's right.
All right, cool.
Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, baby. Craig?
2. I've shot 2.
And what were those? I remember the first one was it PCC Nats that year?
Yeah, 2020 PCC Nats, and then the 2021 the PCC / carry optics Nats.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. So let's start off first. Todd has probably the most questions, and I have the most experience. Craig's probably second, then Tyler. So this is kind of an open conversation on, what we want. Now, actually, I don't know if it caught it. I tried to record it while we were giving Todd shit, but he gave me a list of some really funny stuff. So we were giving him, I was giving him a hard time as usual. But so we're going to go through his list, but we're going to also obviously have a conversation will come up. But all right. So Todd, what is the first thing that really concerns you about nationals?
The 3 days and getting in shape and just your physical prep that you do, because you can't just show up and be in shape for the match. So I should have started a month ago. I kind of did, but I'm working on that better now, doing some cardio and watching my diet so I can shed some pounds before it too.
So I think that's a good life choice beyond nationals. Like, I think that's something that you should be doing. No, but I mean, it's not just nationals, but in our sport in general. Like, I think, and I don't want to be like one of those guys that's like stands up on the pedestal and is like, yeah, man, working out, because I changed my lifestyle. I always worked out, and I kind of took a long break, and it happened to be during my shooting, and which is not good because I should have been working out anyway while I was shooting. But since I've changed over to working out, I can't explain how much better, not just the physical, obviously the physical part is supposed to be there because you're working out, but man, the mental for me has been so much better, like so much stronger because I think the physical is what wears your brain down, right? Like if you're physically tired, your brain just is like, all right, come on. Like we're trying to do things here and you can't keep up. So I think the working out part is big, right? And the biggest thing about nationals that I will say about the working out is it's 3 days. So it's not, it's not, the shooting part isn't really what's exhausting. It's the 3 days of being out of town, 3 days hanging out with your friends, shooting the shit, going to restaurants, being out late at night, you know, and I don't drink. So that's never an issue. I don't drink and stuff at nationals. So I don't get wasted or hammered the night before, but you know, just being up late at night, hanging out at the house, shooting the shit. So if you're physically not up to par, that'll catch up, right? I mean, those are all things that are outside of your normal, of your everyday shooting. So, and what I mean by everyday shooting is like when you go to matches on the weekends, you usually go to lunch and that's it. Everybody separates and goes home, right? They go back to their normal day. Well, you're not at nationals for 3 days. You're at nationals for 5 days.
Yeah. I mean, we were at Area 6, I think, for what, 3 days?
Right. And you shot 2 days for that?
No, Tyler and I shot 1 day.
You guys shot 1 day.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. I forgot about that. That's right. So
I would have been thinking ahead. I would have shot the multi-day, but I wasn't. So
what is your, what are you thinking that is, or what is your plan, or what do you kind of have set up? Obviously, before we have this conversation, what did you have set up or planned to kind of get ready?
For physical wise?
No, just kind of like, what do you expect? What do you feel like? I mean, we haven't really talked a whole lot about preparation.
Yeah.
But what do you feel like is important? Have you talked to anybody else other than me about match prep or?
Well, I've talked to you guys and I mean, it's always a conversation. You watch other podcasts and it's on there, but I've never done it myself, especially for a multi-day match. So it's one of the things that I think at our club, at Belt and Gun Club, we have the USPSA match 1 day, and then we got the Steel Challenge match the next day. I know it's not the same, but I'm going to shoot both matches for 2 months before that when I can, just to kind of get it, because I'm going to be tired from setup, going to be tired from the USPSA match, and then shooting that Sunday. It's just going to let me know really how I deal with the mental and physical exhaustion that's going to be there. So, and how to combat it and get the best out of yourself while you're doing it. And
so right now we're about 3 months out. So you started last month to start prepping.
Yeah. I mean, I started thinking about it. I'm starting it this month, to be honest.
So what did you start last month?
Started thinking about what I need to do to get in shape, start eating better, cutting sugar, and I'm not gonna say caffeine, but cutting sugar out of my diet. So I'm not riding the highs and lows throughout the day.
What about practice? Have you changed anything in your practice?
Oh, well, definitely. I mean, we just got done with your class, what, three weeks ago?
Yeah.
And that's changed it a lot. And I'm having to go back to some fundamentals so I can get that down and keep that while I'm keeping the effort up there to make sure all that's going. And then it's going to have to be using locals as your practice sessions also. But like, I think it was you when we talked one time that like the month before, the locals have to become a national.
That would be me.
All of August, everything you shoot, you have to treat like you're going to shoot at nationals, because up the next 2 months, I'm going balls to walls. 11 mics, fuck it. I don't care. Oh,
yeah.
Oops. But anyway, I mean, I don't care.
You're
11
you're
mics.
on the Tom Castro podcast.
I know. Anyway. I know.
I think
but
they
yeah,
know.
I mean, if I get the mics, I don't care. I want to get that time, that effort, and let it start coming to me. And then as I get there, I can start focusing on the other. I mean, they're not little things, but where are you going to place your feet and all that when it comes with it too. So,
yeah. Tyler, what about you, man? What is your national preps? I mean, have you started national prep yet?
I mean, what I started doing a couple months before is I do that same thing you do. I start treating all the locals like a major match. I don't say nationals, I just say major, I guess, but I try to treat them all the same anyway. And I'm always trying to stay fit. You know, we practice and we practice at least once a month. And, you know, I've been training people and I usually get some practice sessions in, like even when I'm training people sometimes. And then just, yeah, I mean, I always try to remember to pace myself at those bigger matches because, you shoot all day and then you gotta get back to the Airbnb, clean your stuff, maybe do some dry fire again, and then wake up and do it all over again. So I try to always remember it's a marathon, not a sprint. So I don't burn myself out on like the first day.
Do you have any kind of like training regiment that you follow or that you've like set up to where it's something where it's, I don't want to say written down on paper because I don't do that either. I know what I need to do, but do you have a specific, like, I need to go practice every week? I want to shoot about this many rounds, or when I go to practice, this is what I need to feel before I'm happy. I mean, any of that, or is it just practice? Like, okay, I'm going to go to the range, I'm going to shoot my locals, but I'm treating them more specifically for major matches. Like I'm looking for the hits plus the speed, not just burn it down and try to learn new techniques. Or, I mean, what does it look like in that aspect? Do you have anything like that you look at?
Well, so I mean, obviously recently we just got done with your class, and so I've been trying to work on a lot of new things, trying to add things to my, utility belt, if you will. And I don't know. I mean, so at the locals, I'll rewatch my videos. I'm a perfectionist, so I really watch them, see where I made mistakes in my mind, even if other people don't think they're mistakes. And that's what I focus on in practices, like
right,
until I feel like I got it like nailed, and then just. Especially I've been a little lax on the dry fire recently, but usually right before I major, at least a month before I start dry firing, like almost every day for at least 15 minutes.
Yep.
And it, and sometimes I think it's going to be 15 and all of a sudden an hour happened. And then so lots of just trying to get those fundamentals right, and then just really, I don't have like a round count in my mind, but usually when I practice, it's like I better be going through like 400 to 800 rounds today. That's kind of usually where my mind is at.
Well, you're good about consistent dry fire, so I didn't think that was really going to be an issue. I just didn't know if maybe your training techniques, like before you got ready for a match, if you had a regiment to where you're like, all right, this is what I do, yada yada yada, kind of thing, to where you're set up to where you have a certain amount of practice that you have set up, certain amount of ammo that you expect to use, those kind of things. So before we move on, I want to start with what everybody is here. So Todd is a B class, shoots carry optics. Tyler is a master that shoots production / carry optics, and actually just switched over to the red dot about a month ago.
It's probably closer to 2 now.
Yeah.
2 months. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, let's not consider area 6 an opportunity because your dot blew off. So
hey, I gotta learn sometime. It better be the first one.
Tyler's dot made it about 3 stages, if that we would call it that, went flying off the gun. So, and then we have Craig, who is now a master in PCC, who has shot every year he's gone up into class. So Craig, what is your training regimen? Because we talk a lot. Actually, I talk to all of these guys a lot. So, but we just don't have specific, like, hey, what's your training for nationals? We haven't had that conversation this year. What are you doing this year for your training this year? Well, let me stop you for a second. What was your training like when we first met, and what is your training change to now? Obviously you're a master, so things have obviously changed in your shooting level, because you were a B class when we met, and in the last 3 years have went from B, A to master, every single year. So in every year you have jumped up a classification.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Thinking back, I think as a B class shooter, you don't know what to practice.
Let me stop you for a second. Lower your mic just a little bit. Go ahead.
How about now?
There you go.
When I was a B, you kind of don't know what to practice. You don't know how to be your own coach a lot of times, and you don't know how to be critical of yourself. So it's like that's a learning curve. So you don't know what you don't know. So I would say B class was more like fumbling through stuff, trying to figure out what I needed to, what I needed to do, what I didn't know what to do. Yeah, it's awesome.
You cannot have a serious conversation in this conversation. Todd just messaged, can you have a bigger watch, Craig? While we're having this really intense national conversation.
I have to compensate. I got to compensate for something, man.
I knew I should have canceled the chat, damn thing.
So now, looking at A and coming up in the master, I think that what's changed a lot is is when I set up stuff, like I can sit there and now looking back, I can run through stuff and I can sit there and go, okay, I can diagnose issues, look at video, take video of myself, see what's going on, see what I got to fix. And then I know I have the skill sets in my head to readjust stuff and fix it, as opposed to before as a B class, I just kind of didn't know, you know. Plus I just started shooting. So then, you know, working yourself up to, you know, getting spun up for a match. Basically, you know, I do dry fire all the time. I just try to do as much as I can. I don't sit there and do 3 hours of dry fire. As a matter of fact, I do 40 minutes or 30 at the most, and then I'm done, you know. But I have the advantage to where I'll go to the PD range and it's a big empty bay, and you know, and I'll set stuff up there and I won't shoot around. I'll just practice moving, practice entering, exit position, stuff like that. So, you know, I have that advantage, but getting spun up for a big match, there's a lot that goes into play with that. Not just that, you know, I know Todd's been mentioning about, he's not, you know, he wasn't sure about, you know, a multi-day match. I would say one of the biggest things is getting enough sleep is probably, to me, a huge one. And you got to be disciplined to make sure you get the sleep. Don't hang out and all that stuff, because when you hang out, it's going to degrade you for the next day. So like if you're staying up too late, you know, it's going to suffer. You're going to suffer. So hydration and sleep to me is huge. And because that's going to help with your mental focus. You know, as far as like, what do I do differently? Like, I like what Tyler was saying, like, especially the month or two before, I'm going to the range a lot more. I'm doing, you know, I go to Homestead Training Center. I'll just train by myself and just run through stuff. You know, my availability to get to regular matches is not as much as you guys can. So, you know, I try to do as much as I can on my own. And that's where I'm at with that. I mean, obviously there's a lot more, man. I mean, you know, you could sit there and talk about all the little, you know, minutia stuff, you know, like just the movements and everything else. And, you know, but there'll be like one day, here's a great example. One day at Homestead, I just practiced straight swingers for, you know, 3 hours or 2.5 hours. I blew 400 rounds just on swingers over and over and over and over and over again. Just because the match I'm shooting coming up is swinger heavy, you know, movement heavy. So, that's what I did. So, you know,
So
that's just one example.
your Nats is in October, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be snowing, but you got to prep for that anyway. But
Oh,
Have you
I hope
started-
not.
Actually, I heard, you know, since we're talking about it, I got a message from a guy who lives in the area, and he said that it doesn't snow there almost at all. So listen, as far as I'm concerned, I'm ready to go. Let's go to nationals. I don't want to talk about the stupid. I don't want to talk about this shit anymore. I just want to go shoot.
Yeah.
It's all I've ever wanted to do. I'm kind of tired of the bashing of the USPSA. I'm not 100% happy with the way things are done, but man, listen, I'm done with it. I just want to shoot. So since we talked about it, I wasn't even going to talk about it because I don't give a shit anymore.
well,
I just want to, no, but you have to kind of go there because it is
Yeah.
part of what's going on in our sport. But I just want to shoot. And I think everybody needs to go back to understanding that this is fun. We're supposed to be having fun. We don't go there because of the USPSA board. We don't go there and shoot because who's president. We go there to hang out with our friends and shoot some shit as fast as we possibly can and do stuff that your average person can't do. That's what I go to nationals for. I don't go there because the bathrooms are the best, or they have the best roads or the best trophies, or I go there for the competition and hang out with my friends. That's what I go for. So I'm kind of over the bullshit that's going on right now in USPSA. I just want to shoot, have a great time, put on good matches, and shoot with my friends. I'm so over it, man. I mean, listen, the internet is filled with negativity right now about our sport, and it shouldn't be.
That's all that it is, dude.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be. This is a great sport, man.
That's
Listen,
all that it is.
things should be
Everything.
everything should start to look. You should be looking at this sport as it's not perfect, but there isn't a sport in this world that's perfect. You go to the NFL, NBA, any of those, and there's negativity, right? Let's go have some damn fun again. I don't care. This weekend I had a class in Illinois and we didn't talk about it one time, and it was awesome because you know what? Nobody gave a shit.
when you're on the range, nobody really talks about this shit, but when you're not, that's when it comes up. But
Well, and it shouldn't be. It should just be, let's just shoot, right? Like that's what we're doing out there. All right. So back on topic.
so back on to what I was asking.
Go ahead.
Craig, have you started prepping for your nats yet?
Okay, so here's my deal. I'm actually leaving Friday. I'm going to Czech Republic to shoot a massive match over there.
Oh, he had to get it in there. We always
know,
got to talk
It
about
goes
Craig.
along with the prep, bonehead.
Freaking
So
Craig's match.
it's a 3-day match. It's 30 stages and you're shooting 10 stages a day.
Hey, turn your mic down more, bro.
Me? Okay.
Yeah, you're way up.
Sorry.
You're gonna have a lot of editing.
That's all
How
right.
about, can you hear me?
Well,
about
I
now?
can hear you too much. That's the problem.
Okay. So, all right.
Go ahead.
So I've been working up for that, and it's kind of like a Nats, you know. I mean, it's their European whatever. It's a massive match. There's almost 1,000 shooters or whatever. So I've been really training hard for that, doing a lot of dry fire, trying to get to the range as much as I can. As a matter of fact, I'm going to the range tomorrow to shoot, you know, and round count we talked about. I'm trying to do at least 400 or 500 rounds there, but I don't apply a number, because if they're quality rounds, 300 is great. You know what I'm saying? Like, 500 just launching rounds for no reason doesn't do crap for me. So like, and I use the example of practicing swingers. The match I was talking about is this match is a lot of mover heavy. You know, there's lots of swingers and stuff like that. So I had one full day of doing that. Tomorrow's going to be a lot of just shooting on the move, things like that. Dialing everything in, because it's going to be my last time I shoot before I fly out. I got to tell you, I mean, I've said it on other podcasts, to me, the mental prep to me is the hugest thing. So and we talked about, you mentioned snow, whatever. My mentality is going to be, I don't give a damn what I got to do. I'm going to shoot the best I can. And I don't care what, I'm going to roll with the punches. If anybody thinks that they can go to any major match and not have any problems at all, nothing's going to go wrong, they're crazy. So you've got to be able to roll with the punches, whatever that is. You may have a spring break. How many people do we know that just collapse when one little thing goes wrong, and like, oh my God, my match is done, so I'm not going to do that, and none of us can do that. You shouldn't be doing that. First off, we're doing this for fun. No one's getting paid to do this, so I'm just rolling with the punches and whatever happens. And that's my mentality. So that's how I've been getting spun up. So I think this match, and I was looking at this match, I've never been to Europe to shoot, but I think it's going to be a great experience and a great springboard for Nats. So that'll carry me through summer. And, I think I'm going to be really rolling throughout the summer. And then October is going to come, and I think I'll be ready to go. There's a couple other majors. I think I'm shooting New Mexico and then Area 8. Me and Tom are shooting. So I think this is going to be nothing but a good thing. And that's whatever, man. It's just, everything's negative, dude, on the freaking internet now. Every damn thing is negative especially on Instagram.
Yeah, let's not talk about it. Who cares? Like I said, I'm over them, dude. Let's go shoot and have fun. I mean, some of the complaints are legit, but the fact that you can get in trouble with law enforcement is legit. But I just want to shoot. I don't care. Let's go. Let's just shoot. So, all right. So, Todd, you had a couple of questions that you kind of sent me. So, let's talk about I really want to talk about before the match, because that's really what's important right now, because we haven't even got to the nationals, right? We'll go in. Yep. I want to kind of do this in a series here throughout this podcast. Let's talk about what you do or what we do when we go to major matches. So Todd, you're kind of you haven't been to one. So it's probably going to just be me, Tyler, and Craig kind of talking about the different ways that we do it. So I'll kind of give you a little example of how I do my match prep before nationals. So I make sure that before nationals, I try to practice at least 2 months out once a week. And I mean live rounds. And last year, I changed some things before nationals that really helped me. I guess 2 years ago, I would really practice. I would set up stages. I would just do a lot of wasteful things. I was setting up stages, doing practices that were just kind of stupid. I wasn't really setting up for execution. I was setting up to get better. And at some point in your shooting, you have to accept who you are as a shooter before a match, that your getting better time is over, right? There's going to be a period that you're going to have to go, okay, listen, I have to switch over from getting better to to execution mode. And when you do that, you have to just accept what you are. So in other words, if you can't move and shoot, you should not move and shoot at nationals. If you can, or you have confidence, or you feel like you can execute it, 100% you should do it. You should never eliminate something in your stage plan because of negativity, right? If you think you can do it, you need to just execute it, because if you have something positive in there, you're going to crush it. But I see so many people that their training, it goes all the way up till the day they leave for nationals. And it's like, wait. Are you training to get to execute and like shoot to your level? Or are you training to try to learn how to shoot and move the day before you leave? And you just started a week ago.
Very true.
So, I see that a lot. So there is a point before you go to nationals that you cannot keep pushing. You have to, I don't want to say dial back, because I don't ever really dial back. I just shoot more focus. I focus a lot more on execution than I do on speed. And that reason I say that is because I'm already fast. Now, if you're a turtle and you shoot slow, that's a different story, because you're probably going to get your butt kicked because you're not going fast. So I'll say it out loud. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to admit it, but I'll say it out loud. I'll be that guy. The guy that wins C class is actually a B class shooter. The guy that wins B class is actually an A class shooter. The guy that wins master is actually a GM. And the guy that wins GM is the biggest sandbagger of them all. No, I'm just kidding. He's a GM. The guys that win their division are not usually the classification that they are. And it's not that they sandbag. So don't take that way. It's not that. It's not that they sandbag. It's just that the small fish from every little city or club or town comes and shoots. You got to have one big fish in each division.
I've been sandbagging for years then.
Well, I will say you suck because you can't shoot a classifier standing and shooting. You're garbage. So it's fun. It's hilarious but it's just funny. That's how it is. It's just, you can't seem to execute it, but you certainly are trying. And I still think that's your problem. You try too hard. If you just said, screw it, I don't give a shit, I guarantee you'd hit that GM run that you're looking for. But because you try and you want it, don't ask me how I know that, because I was that guy. It happened to me with PCC. I fought and fought and fought, and I missed. My goal was to be GM in a year with PCC. And I missed it by a week. The very next freaking weekend, I went out and I said, well, my goal was ruined anyway. I didn't hit it. And I 100%ed it. The next 6 classifiers after that were 100%. So I was like, oh, I guess the key here is just don't give a shit, and it works out okay.
Yeah, but he deleted some stuff too.
What is it? USPSA Insight. Hit me up, baby.
Yeah, he deleted stuff. He deleted it.
USPSA. I was grandbagging the shit out of it.
Now there's going to be an investigation now. I just said that. There's going to be a full-blown investigation.
Yep.
So
we'll find out who USPSA Insights is now.
That's how I recommend the prepping for nationals. Is you have to eventually know where and when you have to turn the dial down. And again, I don't want to say turn the dial down, but it has to go from I'm learning to I'm executing, right? And that's there was something that switched for me in my training when I sat down with JJ one weekend, and he was out training during the week, and I happened to come by and I said, hey man, do you mind if I jump in? I just want a few rounds here or whatever. And I jumped in with him, and he taught me that instead of shooting a bunch of runs in a row, you need to shoot one run of that specific setup or drill once and then change it. Never run the same thing over and over and over again, because eventually you get better and better and more comfortable. So one of the things I changed in my coaching as well was exactly that. When you're doing drills, do it a million times over and over and over and over and over again, so that you can get that muscle memory and you're starting to learn new things. But when it's time to get ready for a match, you never run the same stage over and over again. That's why I stopped doing stages, because what I started doing now is I put up all hardcover, almost no open paper. I'll throw some in there, but almost all hardcover. And I'm working on going as fast as I can see. I want to see my sights, my grip, my trigger prep. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for, and obviously alphas. And if I'm shooting a bunch of Charlies, I need to find out, what am I seeing? Why am I just pulling the trigger? But I never run the same run more than once. So if I have 4 pieces of steel and 2 pieces of paper out there, then okay, I go paper, steel, paper, switch it up right after that. I'll go paper, steel, steel. I'll change it all up. I never run the same thing twice. The other thing I do that I never really talked to JJ about this, but this is kind of what I did for myself. I always shoot arrays of 8 to 10 rounds at the most. I never stand up there with my carry optics and just crank out a bunch of rounds, because that's not what we do. You're going to see arrays of 8, arrays of 10. I want to keep it as realistic as I can. Now, one thing he did, or that he didn't do in that specific class that I do, I throw a shit ton of movement in my class, or in my practice during that time. So even though I'm not running the same run ever twice, I will throw movement in on specific things, and I'll change up the way the arrays are. I'm working on footwork. I'm really working on the way I shoot and my execution. I throw quite a bit of long distance in while I'm practicing for nationals. And this is not getting better mode. This is, I'm prepping for, like, I left tomorrow, I have shot and I'm ready for nationals. So when I walk away from that practice, I am like, there is nothing they can give me that I'm not ready for. One last thing about my specific way I get ready for nationals is, before my practice is over, I go up to 10 yards and I hose the shit out of whatever I'm putting up. And the reason I do that is confidence. So if I'm back there shooting a bunch of 25-yard shit, and I might have a few misses here and there, but I'm still crushing it like I should be, because you're going to miss, guys. I hate to tell you, you're going to miss some shit at 25. You're going to miss some stuff during these drills. It's just like a major match. You're going to make some mistakes. There's no difference. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for the majority of my hits to be in the A. I'm going to have a few Charlies. I'm going to have a few hard covers. I just want to make sure that, first of all, I called those hits, and that I know what my mistakes were. Not just calling the hits, because sometimes you're not going to see it. It's real close, but I want to know what those mistakes are, so I can go, okay, I need to clean that up, slow down, maybe just prep a little bit longer on that and not just sling around. But when I get closer, I cannot explain to you the amount of confidence that I gain at the end of a practice, going to 10 to 12-yard targets and just letting it rip. Now, I don't mean shooting a bunch of bad, shitty hits. You're still shooting alphas, but getting up there in that super confident zone, right? Like, to where when you leave, they're like, I am going to crush this match.
Yep.
So do any of you guys do that? Any of you guys get closer at the end of practice and really like get that feeling of, man, I am going to rip?
I start with it too, to kind of warm myself up, get rid of that anticipation. Like, I'll do a couple Bill drills and then Blake drills, just to just send it and get warmed up, and then I start practicing those things. And then I like what you said about the execution thing, because I guess I didn't really ever think of that word before, but when I'm practicing before majors, a lot of my practice is I'll focus on stuff that I was messing up on matches, but then I focus on things that I know I need to be able to execute well.
Right.
So I do both those things at the practices.
Well, Tyler's got a list when we're carpooling together too, that he'll send me of all his majors before all the majors, and we'll go through and we'll talk through this entire list of 20 different points of stuff that he's learned.
I called it my pro shooter's mindset, and I just have things I try to think about before and during a match as it's going on. So
for me, you have to do what works for you. But for me, I try not to think about anything that happened before. I try not to think about any of the things that I wasn't good at another match, or things I needed to repair. I am only focused on executing what I see. A lot of people talk about match books. I don't I look at every match book, but I'm only looking for specific things before a match. I'm looking for, is there a low port? Do I have to lay down on something? Am I going to be shoot 40-yard steel? Those kind of things where oh, I don't really practice 40-yard steel. Maybe I want to throw a few of those in. The other thing is, the other thing I'll add real quick is when I start my practice, I don't want to start off at 20 yards. I start off at 15. Tyler, my thing with starting off really close and getting warmed up, your stage 1 at nationals, you might not be warmed up. So you have to be ready when it's time. Now, that being said, most of the time you have a warm up at nationals, which, you know, they should, in my opinion, but not always. So I try to make sure that I can go out there and execute that with a dry fire make ready, right? So I will spend a little time before I shoot at dry fire make ready. You only have one time really that you're cold, right? That stage 1 is the first one where that your mind's like, oh, I guess we're shooting today, right? Like,
never cold.
So yeah, right. So that's just kind of the way
where you stop being cold, though.
Right. That's just kind of where I think of it. You know, like I try to make it as close to as if I was going to run that match the day I was on. Like that's my stage 1 of day 1, day 2, day 3, right? I mean, listen, it's everybody has their own way of doing things, and you're a very, very good and successful shooter. So it's just the way this is what we're doing this for. I want people to understand it's not one way, right? My way is a way, not the way. So I want everyone to kind of feel that, or like understand that there's more than one way to do things. And this is why I brought Craig on and you, Tyler, because Todd is a great example of most shooters are probably like Todd. He hasn't had the experience like we all have to go out to nationals, travel to those big matches, and just shoot 3 stages in 3 days is a lot. Or you're basically shooting 3 matches in 3 days.
Mm-hmm. It's very nerve-wracking at first, yes, but then once you do it a few times, it's just like another match, but you're just making sure you execute everything as best you can. And you know, sometimes you go to Tom's, you know, mag pouches on last match and you loosen them up so that way you get that edge.
Oh man, he's giving me shit because the production match that we met at, I ran the same stage twice while I was under the clock the first beat, because I dropped all my mags at the back. So I had to run all the way back to go get my mags. At that point, I knew nationals was over, but
Never give up.
I had a fun. I'll tell you what, I had a great time. It was a lot of fun. I got to see if I can find that video. Maybe I'll try to put it in here because it was a pretty fun experience. Like, I ran the same stage twice, but it was just me running around like a maniac trying to go run and find bullets on the ground. But it was fun, man. I didn't know mics on that stage, and that was all I cared about at that point. So, but sorry. So Todd, next question. Sorry, I wanted to make sure we started with the match prep because that was really big. Because I don't think a lot of people talk about match prep enough.
Well, and Craig hit on it too. And I believe it. The mental prep is just as much as the physical and your match prep, and you got to know, I guess, and I kind of like what you said, where the month before you go practice more and you do the things that you're good at. So you are confident in that when you get to the match, you're not trying to push. Like right now, when I go to a match, I'm all about push, push, push. And let's let everything catch up. I got to roll that back in August 1st.
I don't think you'll have to if you just keep pushing. You will find the level that I've talked to you about. You just haven't had enough time. It's been 3 weeks. So just keep pushing. I'll tell you when to slow down. Tyler will tell you when to slow down.
So one thing I was gonna add, as far as prep, for practicing for Nats,
bro, do a half dial turn. Like your mic is so loud.
Really? Wow. I mean, all the way down.
Keep going.
Not much. Okay. How about now?
There we go.
Good. I know that we all
whispers and then he talks really loud.
So I know we talk about the match book. I try to mimic at least some of the target presentations. You may have certain, not no shoots, but no shoots, hardcover, whatever. And I'll try to put them at distance and see, and see where my dot's going to be on those targets, where I'm hitting exactly on the move. If I know that I can address it, if you can't do it on the move, it is what it is. But I'll try to practice targets at different distances.
No, he's going.
That's awesome.
Oops, sorry, didn't mean to mute you.
Yeah. Is this still loud? Is this still loud?
You're all right. I think it's okay. I'm just breaking your chops.
All he's doing is making more work for himself.
I'm leaving it muted. I don't give a shit.
More, more
Look how I
work.
messed him up. Look.
So about practicing. So one of the things, back to the IPSC match, you can't walk stages, which, you know, it is what it is. So I'm trying to look at the match book and see, okay, there's hardcover, the no shoots at this distances. It looks pretty far away. So I'll try to practice that. I'll try to practice certain target arrays and see, all right, I can address this thing on the move, or I know where my dot's going to be, you know, dot offset, all that stuff. So, you know, I'm not a proponent of sitting there studying the damn match book to the point of, you know, what's going to hurt you, but you can use it and it can be an information source, especially with practicing and getting certain target arrays. That's the only thing I would add with that. And, you know, I don't want to harp on that, because I don't want people to sit there and look at a match book and memorize and have all their stage plans from a stupid match book, which is crazy.
No, I've known people that have done that. They'll look at it. I'm like, what happens when you get to the match? And it's totally different, because
that's crazy.
We all set up matches here. We know what's on paper is never what's on the ground.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty bad when you expect that the match book is going to give you everything you need. Like, I think it's a good tool to use, but it's also, you should be looking for specific things out of the match book, especially for nationals, because one of the stages that I use in my class is from nationals. It was a great stage on paper. Great stage. I was like, this has everything that we could ever use at nationals, or at a match. This thing's awesome. Like, it was such a great design. I think Jake Martins designed it. It was really, really good. Then they put it in a double bay. Nowhere near what I thought it was going to be. I mean, what's that?
We used that one on bay one in our first class, right?
Yes. Yes. Love that stage. And I have used it numerous times, and I was just like, this thing's awesome. And then I was like, I get to the match and I'm like, this is terrible. But it wasn't like, the stage design was fine. It was just, they had to fit it in there. So when they fit it in there, it changed the whole design of the stage. So if I would have set that up at home and said, all right, man, cool, I'm going to build this and put all this together, and now I'm going to get ready to shoot this thing. Well, guess what? Now it's not even close. Right now, it's a straight run down the middle. You're not able to go back left and right and all these different things. And the lane was much harder than it was on paper when it looked like it. It was a completely different stage the way it was put down on the ground. So to sit there and get all wrapped up in specific things like that, it's not good. Plus, I think that's one of the reasons why they take so long to put the match book out anyway. So you can't really set those up. Right. You don't have enough time to really sit down and set them all up and practice them and kind of, I don't want to say cheat, because listen, unless you're shooting the exact same stage and you crush it every single time you get on there, which no one does, it's not cheating, right? You have to be able to perform when it's at the match. It doesn't matter what it does when you're at home. Who cares how many times you got a great hit factor at home? All you have to do is have a jam or have a mistake, and now your hit factor goes to shit, and you spend all that time practicing it. So you still have to execute it when you see it. It doesn't do anything. You know, you could take that stage and practice specific things out of it. I don't know how many times I've built a stage for practice, even before nationals, and I will break that stage up in sections. And I'm like, all right, I want to enter and shoot on this on the move. I want to shoot this steel. I want to run in here as hard as I can, enter in on that steel, be settled, and crack that 25-yard shot off as soon as I land in the opening. But I'm not shooting the whole stage, right? I'm working on specific things that will take me to be successful while I'm shooting the whole match, right? Because I mean, I've talked about this, I don't know how many times in my classes. This sport is the same thing over and over and over again. It's just disguised differently. How many times have we entered on a piece of paper? How many times have we shot a piece of steel through a port, or an activator or a swinger? It's all the same shit. It's just disguised differently in different ways. It's the same damn stuff. So when people make mistakes, it's the same mistakes over and over and over again. It's just trying to, like, sometimes it's hard to explain that to people, because like, bro, but I missed this and I missed that. And I'm like, look, you just crushed out on the stage before, and then you came over here and didn't do it. Why? Not because you weren't good. It's because you didn't focus. And you know, people were like, oh man, that stage was so hard. I'm like, it's the same damn stage we shot next door. It was just put in a different direction, but it's the same skill sets, shooting, moving, all those things. And, you know, it sounds easier when you say it out loud like that, and I know it's not, but it is the same shit over and over and over again. And so when people make it really difficult, it's not.
You know what, though? You're not wrong, though, Tom. I mean, it is that simple. As long as you can stay focused and just take one stage at a time, one target array at a time, one target at a time, one alpha hit at a time, that's an entire match. You know, the problem is a lot of people sit there and try to take it all in at once, and that's the problem. But I don't think you're wrong. I think you're more right than, I think it's, if you can just, doesn't matter how many stages you're shooting, one stage at a time, you know, one target at a time, one alpha at a time, and just focus on that. And before you know, you're gonna be like, man, I just shot 25 stages. Holy crap. You know,
it's really that easy. I mean, it's really that easy.
As long as you stay focused. Exactly. Yep. So
one of the things that Todd brought up in one of the questions that wasn't ridiculous. Some of these things are just ridiculous. I'll start off with physical prep. So for me, a couple of different things. I've been working out a lot. So I'll kind of just give a quick tip on how I physically have been training. I do a ton of weightlifting with cardio. I don't do cardio by itself. I hate it. It's not my favorite thing to do. I started running 1 mile every single time, every day of the week, 5 days a week, not every day, 5 days of the week. So I'm forcing myself to run. Why? Because I hate it. I absolutely hate running. It hurts me. It physically sucks. And I don't know you guys that love it, but good for you. It's not, my body was never designed to run long distance. I'm a sprinter and I've always have been. But because of that, I'm forcing myself to run a mile to gain that endurance and also the physical beating that it does to my body. I'm trying to toughen my body up a little bit. So for me, I do a lot of weightlifting and I do everything in a hit manner. So I'm always doing type cardio / workouts. I do 4 rounds and I put the workout is one workout after another, after another, after another. And I'm doing full body workouts. I never do like bicep curls or do arms all day. It's not my thing. I used to be, but I don't care about that. I want to be physically better in this sport. I am now changing my workout to start adding some agility. I want to start adding agility stuff. So I'm going to start, I push a sled and I drag a sled a lot. But I'm going to start adding, I don't want to say tires because I'm not buying tires, but the agility ropes where you go in and out with your feet, those kind of things, the side to side movement I'm working on. My flexibility, I've changed a lot this year. I'm really working on my flexibility. I've been having some flexibility issues. So I've been trying to work on that. I've been trying to work on the smaller muscles like my hips, working on my knees, the things that really bother me for big matches. Like, and the reason they bother me for the big matches is because they're long, drawn out days. Right? When you walk stages for a whole day. You're out there hanging out, walking the stages, So all those things just add up. And your knees, when you drink sugar iced tea, my diet, I've stopped doing.
It just destroys your knees, man.
Well, I stopped doing sugar.
You in particular does that.
I've stopped doing sugar. Sugar for me is an inflammation thing. It's inflammatory. It creates inflammation in my knee, and it really bothers me. So I stopped doing real sugar. The only sugar I have now is Sweet and Low in my sweet tea, which is a shit ton of it because these guys give me a hard time for being a crack addict. For Sweet and Low, but that shit. But hey, listen, whatever. It's better than regular sugar and my body processes it better. So, and I don't hurt after drinking it. So it is what it is. But so that's my physical prep. Tyler, you work out. Do you have anything that you do specifically for Nats or for obviously the sport?
I used to work out a lot. I don't really anymore. Now I just do push-ups and sit-ups before bed. And we have like a couple sets of stairs going through my house. So I make sure I'm always skipping stairs, so it's like I'm doing lunges all the time, but I don't really do anything crazy anymore. I can't even play soccer now,
Yeah, just you got hurt your back when you go out and play with your dog, you big pansy. Tyler pulled his back right before South Carolina sectional, and I'm calling him out. He's a terrible friend. He didn't even show up to help build. He's such a douchebag.
He's smart.
Such a douchebag. I mean,
smart.
Just an excuse, smart. Man. Listen, I wouldn't want to work either, so I pretended to hurt my back also. No, he was pretty messed up. I mean, hell, he barely even made it to the class. So Yeah, you were bad. You were a couple weeks, weren't you?
Yep.
Well,
Yeah,
like
it's crazy.
It was like 4 weeks. Just
injuries.
the first week I couldn't even like get out of bed. I couldn't get on the fucking toilet without my wife helping me. It was so bad, dude. I was so depressed. And then
That's
I
crazy.
put all this extra work building, walls and shit for Todd to get this. I was so excited for state, and then it was like, why? There must have been some reason. I don't know, but I know it wasn't to let Ryan get state champion.
I knew you were going to say that.
He called Ryan out. He had to get Ryan in there.
You got a freebie this year.
Oh shit! Hopefully he doesn't wear jeans when he wears that tile around his neck. Todd. So just for everybody who doesn't know, if you don't follow me on Instagram, or I don't have it on Facebook, but if you don't follow me on Instagram, I have created a workout page on Instagram. It's called One More Rep Athletics. So if you follow me on Instagram, I usually share it to my story when I post a new one. I've been sharing 1 or 2 every week or whatever it is. So I just video my workouts. There is no talking. I don't explain how to do the workout. I am not a professional trainer. My wife happens to be a personal trainer, so she creates all the workouts, but I do not talk about them. I do not give you any kind of tips on how to do things, but I write down everything that I'm doing. I show examples of the videos, and they're all 1 minute long. So it keeps it fast and easy. You don't have to sit there for 35 minutes and listen to me jack my mouth, and tell you about how to do this and all that. Just watch the form. If you have any questions, hit me up in the messages and I'll try to help you out. But I'm trying not to make it a professional thing. Just want to help out everybody. I don't charge anything, but it'll give everybody an opportunity to kind of see what I've been doing to train and kind of get me to the next level physically. This year has been the best I have ever felt in the 4 years of me shooting. I can't tell you how great I feel mentally, not just the physically, but the mentally at matches. I feel so fresh. I'm never tired. I'm ready to kick ass every single time I go to a match. It just has been such a huge difference in my life. It's become an obsession almost, though. Like I think about it all the time now. I'm like, come on, let's go train. Let's go train. And I hate it. I absolutely hate it. In the middle of the workout, I'm like, man, I need to go edit videos. I need to go to work. I need to do all this shit. So it's not something that I wake up every morning like, yeah, let's go work out. Trust me, I'm just like everybody else. When I'm right in the middle of the workout, I'm like, I got all this other stuff to do, and I still continue on. You have to do it. It's so important, especially if you want to take your shooting to the next level in this sport. Every single national champion in this sport works out. Not one of them don't. I've had a conversation with JJ just 2 weeks ago, and I said, bro, everybody works out. I feel like that's the biggest gap between me and every single body else that shoots. And he goes, every top national level shooter works out. Shane Coley, an absolute beast on the working out. This guy right here does not look like it, but he does. Max Michel, he doesn't look like he works out at all. Like he's super skinny and, well, I don't want to say super skinny, but he's just not like ripped or big like some of the other guys, but he's super athletic. The guy has a personal trainer. He works out. He's working on movement all the time. He has very specific training for this sport, but there's a reason those guys win. Like they are physically and mentally fit to shoot 21 stages, sometimes more. Like if you're going to worlds, you're shooting 30 something stages, man, maybe more. So you don't win if you're not physically fit. Eric Graffel, super fit. I mean, Christian Seiler, all the top guys, they're all in shape. Casey Eusebio, who kicked my ass at Area 6. All those guys are fit and in shape. It's pretty simple to see it. You don't have to like look around. Just look. There's no big fat asses winning nationals. I'm sorry. I hate for you guys. Us. What's that?
Quit fat shaming me.
And one of the things that I'm starting to do is use the Peloton app, because you can do, I like them to spin stuff because it doesn't hurt my knees, because I do have bad knees. And then they got like a spin / boot camp.
Let's be honest. You like the spandex shorts. We got it.
Oh, that's it.
With the thong
I do not wear spandex shorts.
So anybody who knows Todd, if you could you imagine Todd in spandex? That would be. Listen,
he wears assless shorts. They got the asses cut out.
Only when I'm fighting.
He still wears a helmet, one of those really long ones, even though he's not moving.
Yeah,
he's got the long helmet.
With the ass cut out.
Do you have a GoPro on your head when you're riding in stationary bike? He's like checking he's doing the turns, No,
I'm just like Craig from There's a Mirror on the Other Wall, so you can see it.
That's right.
All right. So Sleep schedule. That was kind of a stupid one. Just go to sleep when you're supposed to.
No, it's not because okay, look at Area 6. Each night we stayed up till 11 o'clock midnight every night.
You shouldn't do that.
So do you think I lost because of
a
that?
big thing because you have to start thinking about it now. So when you get there, like Craig said, you're disciplined to go to bed. Because Craig, if I look back at Area 6, who's the only one that went to bed early?
Me.
Yeah. All right. So let me ask you a question. Hold on.
Only
if you're yeah, it's called he sucks shooting one delta.
Should have went to bed 1 minute sooner.
So if you are expected, if you go to bed at 12 o'clock every night, then go to bed at 12 o'clock every night. If that's your norm.
Yeah.
You don't change your sleep schedule. Point. That's more important. It's more important to stay on your sleep schedule. If you are a midnight to 7 or midnight to 6 or whatever your schedule is, don't change that. Now, obviously, if you're up till 2-3 o'clock at night, you can't do that, right? You just can't do that. Yeah. You can't. That's a different story. But if you're usually going to bed around midnight, then that's what you need to do, right? You got to listen to your body in that aspect.
Yeah, but Tom, you also said, I think you're the one that said it, like, drinking alcohol the night before you're shooting. That's come on, man.
No. I see it all the time, man. I see it all the time.
I'm not going to mention names, and you and I know who.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. But
and then they're mad when they do trash the next day. Like, man, what the fuck?
Because I spent all this time, money, effort to get there. Why am I going to ruin it and shoot my first 3 stages hungover and then my match is done?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to do that personally. But again, a lot of people do this for fun, right? So if their fun is to go hang out with the boys, get drunk, and then go the next day and expect, but it's just funny. Those same guys are the ones that bitch and complain about how shitty they did.
Yeah.
So I just kind of laugh at those, right?
It almost seems like a defense mechanism, like they're,
of course, dude, listen, if you can have a built-in excuse at all times in life, it's pretty easy to live life. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's pretty easy to have a built-in excuse in this sport. Oh, my gun broke, or, there's always something that you could, I didn't practice. That's the number one complaint. That's the number one excuse I hear is, oh man, I didn't practice, or I didn't get any sleep the night before, or whatever. I mean, listen, it's
here.
Yeah.
That hate me because I say that shit all the time. Like, dude, I had to tell one guy at the last match, he was trying to tell me some crap. I was like, dude, I don't give a fuck about your excuses, bro. Just shoot better. Or try harder. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. I mean, there's almost no excuse for not having your gun in your hand 15 minutes of at least a week. 1 week of 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
One time for 15 minutes. If you can't pick your gun up, there's something that you're not prioritizing, period. Like, I mean, I call you straight out. If you don't dry fire once a week, that's on you.
Tom, right? 15 minutes a day. Get up 15 minutes earlier and dry fire 15 minutes, 10 minutes.
Listen, I'm going to be very nice on this podcast. Once a week, will at least hold your skills.
I'll go even further. Even if I don't dry fire, I'm just walking around my house with my gun at all fucking times.
Oh, yeah, but walking around naked with your gun doesn't work.
It's right here. Dude, it is basically an extension of myself.
He's like, which holster are you looking at?
That's my PCC.
Hey, he walks around naked with his gun with a little propeller hat. That's it.
Actually, Tyler would actually look pretty fucking slick with a propeller hat on. I think we got to find him one for the next match because as fast as he runs, it would just be.
That's funny.
That's where that dance. Actually, Georgia is our next major.
I think I'm going to try to make that match, guys. So I got to look at my schedule, but it's super tight. Yeah, well, yeah, I was waiting on Craig to answer me, so I got it on the podcast instead of on the text message. So
I'm on duty and I can't, man. I can't get off.
That sucks.
Some of us have more important priorities. So whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the Hobbit gave some excuse about building a house or something. So
in the Shire.
Yeah.
Bilbo
Baggins.
Samwise Gamgee. There you go. All right,
so he's gonna hate us when he watches it.
That's fine. He's gonna watch it too. That's why I love him. So, all right. So let's talk about because actually this is one of the few good questions that Todd actually had. Shooter reset. So Todd has never shot a match because he's a spoiled little biatch without shooter reset. Well, let's rephrase that.
Match
His
reset.
local matches aren't shooter reset, but his
He
level
doesn't
2
reset.
I guess it's true. He doesn't pay. So I guess that is true. He's the match
director
so
status.
he feels like
Okay,
he's
whatever.
special.
I work harder than anybody, but anyway, I've never shot a major where it's shooter reset. It's always been staff.
No, you said it right the first time.
Wow.
You
Good
reset.
Lord.
You reset yourself.
Yeah,
You don't
crazy.
reset.
Because the only ones I've went to are South Carolina, Area 6, and Georgia and North Carolina. We all do staff reset.
It's time to spread your wings.
Oh, it's happening, but
Tyler, I'm gonna find an angel and put it behind a little halo for Todd on this video. I gotta find one and put it on there. I gotta do it. It's gonna be great. Oh my
so
god.
it's gonna be different because you got to make sure you don't pace early or you screwed somebody's stage up.
Well, if you don't pace at all like you're used to, then you don't pace.
Yeah, I won't worry about that at all. I'm just gonna go reset the steel so I don't have to.
Oh, he's gonna be that
somebody's
asshole
target.
that just stands at the last target
Hey.
and goes
With the long cigarette.
No, but
Oh my god, that's
in all
awesome.
seriousness, going through 3 days of resetting, not only shooting, walking stages and all that, but you're resetting now. That's a ton of extra work on your body.
You better
That is
spin
a
little
ton
harder,
of
but
extra work. That is a ton of extra work.
Take
It really
bring
is.
Advil, just be smart. Pace yourself.
Well, my advice is to start taking care of yourself now. Like
Yeah.
you're
That's what
behind the
I'm
8 ball
doing.
already a little bit, right? So start taking care of yourself now. And again,
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy who sits on and preaches about, you should work out, but you should freaking work out if you want to be better in this sport. And not only that, but it's going to make you better off in life. I mean, it's not just a shooting thing. It makes you better off in life. I can't tell you how much better I feel in my everyday life now that I've gone back to training and working out again. It's like, it just makes shooting a joke. Like it makes shooting so much easier. When I'm running around, I've seen such a difference in my times. I'm like, wow, I was pretty fast, I thought. Now I'm doing things and I'm like, man, that was terrible. And I'm 3 seconds faster than most people that I'm shooting against at my level. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is working. Like I'm getting it. Like the physical's starting to catch up now. I'm getting stronger.
Mhm.
It's just, it does make a difference. It really does. But the shooter reset part, I think was a big thing, man. I think that's very important because obviously most people who aren't, spoiled have gone and had to reset stages. But I think that's another one of those things that's left out of most people's thought process of why am I so tired? Like, and it's pretty simple, guys. We shoot this sport for maybe a minute, maybe a minute and a half. It also depends on how good you are. The better you are, this is one of the dumbest things I've ever done in my life when it comes to a sport, because the better I got, the less I actually shot. It's like, what a dumbass. Like the better I got, the less time I actually spent on the range shooting. So when I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'll go to major matches and I'm like, wow, I shot for a minute and a half. Well, that was awesome. I was out here 3 days and I shot for a minute and a half. That was well worth the $1,000 that I spent. Right. Like if you look at it that way. So, and I'm like, man, why am I so tired? I only shot for a minute and a half. It wasn't for that 15 seconds of shooting that I had per stage. It was because I've been pasting and picking up stages and painting and walking to a 35-yard popper and, all these different things that all adds up in time. And beats your body up mentally, just makes you exhausted from
walking
over and over. Walking stages. We'll get into that because I know you want to talk about it a little bit. So,
but like, before we go further, like, I mean, even throughout a match, like hydration and just the proper nutrition, like I stay away from the lunch or the meals, but I bring like a trail mix or whatever, but you got to be hydrated throughout the day. I mean, even if you're not in shape, there's a lot of things that you can cut out, like, and a lot of advantages. Like if you hydrate yourself and have proper nutrition, you can account for a lot of stuff. I'm not saying, it's not gonna, I'm not saying getting in shape's a bad thing. That is a huge thing, but even just hydration and nutrition will help you big time in a match.
Yep, and that's why both of them are on there. And that's why I'm starting to experiment now. I've got those little powders that are, like I was talking about, that are no sugar and are an energy type drink. And I want to know how they affect me now versus when I'm on the range. Hey, let me try this.
That a boy. That a boy. I was just going to say, I'm glad you brought that up. And it was a great topic because I started adding supplements to my life and I tried a couple of different things and I've tried them now. I didn't want to try them before the match. I want to try them now. And I'm already noticing a difference in how much mentally they work. Some things work, some things don't. The energy drink that I introduced you guys to when I was there has no caffeine in it, or a very small amount of caffeine. And I use it and it doesn't give me jitters. It doesn't make me crazy. It just makes me, it's a nice, easy little bump to get me started for the morning after waking up. The other thing is never, ever change your diet the weekend before the match or the weekend of that match. If you change your diet to healthy, you are going to have some digestive issues. I promise. I personally have never done that. Yes, but I know people who might have done that.
So I might have cut caffeine out like right before Area 6, like 10 days before Area 6. And I was fine up until then. But when I reintroduced caffeine and ate at some sketch places,
It was the barbecue.
So let's
us.
Tyler.
ate at the sketch places. Let's just say I had digestive issues.
So Tyler, how many times did I say, let's go to the box stores? And Todd's like, oh, that's bullshit. I don't want to go to Chili's or someplace where everybody has. And I go, Todd, the only reason I want to go to places is because it's consistent. You know the food's going to be good or what it is. You're never going to have to worry about, somebody cooked a cat in the back and they sent it out the door and that's what you're eating. And now you're going to have the shits and all this stuff. So lesson learned, I think.
Guess what? I've already looked up at Nats.
The box
Within
stores.
10 minutes, we have box stores.
So I keep telling everybody, man, I go to Longhorn. I go to the same places almost every time. You cannot beat steak, potatoes, things that you normally eat. And it's consistent other than them never cooking the damn steak.
Longhorn's dangerous though for us because it's usually like a 3-hour dinner.
Well, that is a problem.
Every time it is, and that's one of the things that gets back to your sleep schedule. You spend 3 hours at Longhorn. Yeah. Now you got to go home, clean your gun, and another hour, and then you're getting to bed at 2 in the morning.
Well, one of us should probably try to be the adult and say, let's leave.
That's usually me.
Yeah, that's all you like. So Greg, you guys are acting like Longhorn is the reason we're shooting the shit for 3 hours. We could go home and do the same thing. Don't even. Don't
let me get a word in, so I can't tell you we gotta go.
Oh, get out of here! Tyler pretends to be the quiet one. We all know that isn't happening anymore now that I know him.
So, Craig, can you come to CO Nats with us and be our coach?
Sure.
I need you there for my mental management.
I'll bring your mental management.
Can you come? I really need you there. Can you come help us walk stages?
Oh, no, we're not even going to go there.
I want to make sure no one jumps on 1 foot and shoots steel. I don't want to do that. I want to make sure I don't have the fastest raw time. I'm just checking. So
yeah.
I'm going to go there.
Yeah, we're not going there.
Just want to make sure. I might need you there to manage my mental.
Just so everybody knows, this has nothing to do with me and Tom.
Yes. I'm sure everybody knows by now. All right, so shooter reset was good. That was a big one. Let's see. We'll get into walking stages because again, this is kind of going into I think it all kind of lines up pretty good so far. Yeah. So walking stages, I will let everyone else start with their process. So Todd, you haven't walked nationals, but you've walked stages before. What is your process for walking stages at major matches?
I want to walk all the stages at least once, and then you go back and walk it a second time because you always miss something the first time. But that's at like a major match or Area 6 where you got 10 or 12 stages, and it's easy to do that in a day. But at Nats, we're going to have 1 day to walk stages, and there's 24, 25 stages probably.
It's easy to walk them all in 1 day, I promise.
Okay. I mean,
it's not, dude. Unfortunately, nationals is like a level 2.
It's
Okay.
a lot of smaller stages.
It is. They're not going to give you 24. It's not South Carolina sectional. It's not 30 round stages on every bay. It's not. It's a lot of double bays, a lot of smaller stages, especially Talladega. I think Talladega, they're only 18 stages. I don't even think they went to the 21 or 24. So we didn't even get as much as we used to for our money. But you will have less stages. The other thing is you have to look at the range. There's not a lot of, I guess the upper bay area, there's a lot of what, like, to get there is time consuming, but you can drive your car when you're walking stages, or you can jump on a golf cart a lot of times. But when you are there, the first section and the bottom set and the second section are very close together. So there's not a lot of walking, like you're going bay to bay to bay to bay and bay. When they double them up, you're talking maybe 16, 18, 24 round stages, nothing. And like a lot of them are classifier style. Like, well, welcome to USPSA, bro. This is why some of the people have been complaining.
No.
32 round.
Well, I like to make sure. I like a stage if you have to reload once, shoot in high cap. It doesn't mean that.
I mean, if you want, you can just do a mag dump and you can do all the reloads you want. I mean, it's fine. It's no big deal. It's up to you. You can choose whatever you want to do on a stage, but
I know, but
I don't disagree, but I don't mind some of the stuff where they do like tighter stuff where they're doing multi-bay in one thing. It just, I don't like that they have to do that, right? There's a difference. Like, so if they had the room on the range that where they could spread it out, I think they would, obviously, but they don't at that specific range. So some of the stage designs that they have are really excellent. Like I honestly have never really complained about stage designs at nationals. I think they do a great job. I think Jake does a good job on that. He definitely, he has a good eye for stages. I never feel like Jake builds the same stages over and over and over. Shannon certainly doesn't build the same stages over and over and over again. But that being said, when they put a stage on paper and then they put it in those bays, they don't always line up with how good the stage looks on paper. Right.
Yeah.
Now, and then you probably have some of that vice versa where the shit on paper looks terrible, but when they put it on the ground, it's amazing. It's a lot of fun and it didn't look like anything. Right. I mean, that's just part of our sport. Like you're never going to really know until you get out there and start cranking it out. But for you, when you walk stages, you go out there, you walk them once and then walk them the second time, right?
Generally, yeah.
How long are you on the range? Like, let me ask you a question. Let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
How much detail do you put into your second walkthrough? Or are you just going there to confirm your first walkthrough?
I would not say it's just to confirm it, because I want to look at it again, like I'm looking at the first time, to make sure what I had planned the first time. It's not only what I think is the best stage plan, but it's a stage plan that I can execute well. If not, is there something I can change to make it where I can execute it more?
Now, the first time you walk it, do you walk left, right, front to back, back to front? How do you walk a stage?
I've started making sure I walk to the very back of the stage so I don't miss anything. And then I'll walk it, even at the locals now we're doing it, where I try it left to right and try the different variations. That way, when we go to a major, you're getting used to it. Before it was like, okay, there's one way to shoot the stage, let's go. But there's not, even the most mundane stages, you can shoot it 2 or 3 different ways. You just got to figure out what's the best way.
Have you always walked stages like that?
No, I've been changing it, especially since Area 6.
Okay, good.
Because when we walked, and I don't think Tyler had even done it, where we walked the stages for a day really before the match, and there was 12 stages there, and we probably were on each stage 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, it changed a lot at Area 6 from the original walkthroughs, a lot. So I did it last year too. Those matches there were some major breakthrough changes for me at that match that actually helped me win that match for Carry Optics last year. So Tyler, what about you, man? How do you walk stages?
Well, obviously I've done it a little differently after I met you, but my usual way was try to get there a day early, and I would walk everything just once. And obviously I would walk it what I would perceive to be the normal way, and then I kind of walk around and see if there's any missing targets or hidden things or something. I'll look at round counts, and then then I'll try, all right, what if I try going right to left? Is there any weird advantages I can get to running around walls or something, if that even helps? Or and then I try to, and I have a photographic memory, so I can just I can take like mental pictures in my head of all the stages. And then I walk, and then part of that goes into the agility. I would always just kind of walk it, get my stage plans and do it once. And then for me, it was always something where I'm trying to pace myself. Obviously, if I jogged all the damn time, then walking, I feel like at area 6, I felt like I was a little fatigued going into the match because we walked so much the day before, where I just was like fuck, dude, I'm getting tired. And granted, there was dot issues and stuff too, but besides all that, I did feel tired because I obviously I need to exercise more. So walking the stages multiple times, I can see the benefit of it. But before then, I would always just walk it once, get a good stage plan, and I would use the matchbook just to remember, okay, this is stage 1. Use my photographic memory and kind of remember how I was walking through it, and then shoot the couple, 4 or 5 stages that day, and then I walk the next couple stages that I'm going to shoot the next day after that again. That's usually where I do the second time. Is all on the after the first day of the shooting, and walk the ones I'm going to shoot the next day.
What would you said something interesting. I'm kind of want a little clarification, the normal way. So as in everybody's running left to right, or
front to back or whatever.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So you went through all the process, just like with Todd, front, back, left, right, but never just walked up and said, okay, left to right, right? You walked all of it.
Well, yeah, I just want to get a lay of the stage.
Right.
And then I'll start to see if there's better or more advantageous ways of running it.
Yeah.
Well, Georgia last year was the first time that you actually went the day before, right?
It's not.
Okay.
Yeah. So Craig, go ahead.
I mean, my stage walking experience has been all with you.
Oh geez.
And so I would be like, Tom, what are we, how are we running this?
What are we doing? Yeah.
Now I know I've gotten way better at walking stages since we first started, but a lot of times, what I'll do is I'll look at round counts, and then I'll look at the different ways things are run. And honestly, it's more of what way is going to get me shooting the entire time. And if I have to run a certain plan and there's dead spaces in between, it just doesn't feel good. And so now I'm to the point where, man, I'll walk through, I'm like, that doesn't feel right. There's just so much dead area, whatever. So I'll try to change stuff and look at stuff to where it's gonna get me shooting the entire time. And if I can do that the whole time, then I think that I'm right on. And that's kind of where I'm at now. And I know that's how Tom looks at stuff. But now I've gained more of a experienced eye for it. And I wish I could say I'm awesome at it. I'm not, but I'm getting better. And so making sure I've count for every round, but then honestly, what's going to flow the best where I'm shooting the entire time is how it should be done. And, that's kind of, with PCC, it's a little different because, different and not, because if I'm shooting the whole time, whether I'm going right to left or left to right, it shouldn't matter, so that's kind of how I look at stuff. That's where I'm at now.
You find yourself with your PCC stage planning, taking shots that Tom doesn't take with his pistol because he can?
I asked, so no. The short answer is no.
I love this subject.
So I'll ask Tom, hey, if you had PCC, would you shoot this differently? And a lot of times it's, most time it's no. So, but, and then we'll rewalk it a few different ways. It's like, look, you're shooting the whole way, your whole time this way. I'm like, okay. So then it's right to left, then it is what it is, so stage 4 at area 6 was like that, right to left, so that's honestly the bar to me is if I can shoot the entire time, I don't give a damn which way it is. Honestly, it's going to be right to left. And if it gets me shooting the whole time where I don't have a bunch of dead space in between, I think I'm at that level now to where I can, I don't see it all the time. So that's why I'm asking Tom, hey, how about this? And reloads, reloads, throw that out because with PCC, most of the time we're not doing a reload. but usually it doesn't affect the stage plan that much, to where you're really having to change stuff,
I don't change my stage plan because I have to reload. I changed my stage plan. I changed my stage plan for efficiency. So I will run my stage as if I don't have to reload and then find my reload. I never stage plan around a reload. I can't stand when I see that. It drives me freaking nuts when I see that.
Even back when you started in your pod days, did you do that, or has it changed since then?
With my what?
Production days.
No, I still, all right. Well, first of all, in my production days, I sucked. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But again, I always planned around my reloads. I just didn't know why. I mean, let me rephrase that. I always planned around shooting, right? The reloads were happening when you had to move anyway. So it didn't matter, right? Like Tyler come from production. He understands. And actually that's a great thing to kind of little segue into that. Tyler came from production. We just did a class together and we started doing a bunch of stage planning. I always do a lot of stage planning in my classes. And I was able to pinpoint exactly why Tyler was kind of struggling in some of his matches that we were talking about with his stage planning. It's because he's designing his stage plans for 8, reload 8, reload 8 without the reloads. He's looking at the stages as in sections to shoot at instead of just one big. He's looking at array. And I'm going to tell you, and I guess I really have never talked about this publicly, but the way I learned how to break a stage down was as a production shooter. I started with production. So it taught me the ins and outs of how to be detailed about, okay, I have to shoot these 8 from here. I have to reload from here, all those different things. And it was like, okay, now this gave me the bare bones of the sport on how to break it down. Then when I switched over to PCC, I'm like, oh my God, I never have to stop shooting. Like, this is amazing. And it changed the way I started shooting, because now I was like, well, all right, I guess I actually can shoot fast and hit shit if I don't have to spend 25 minutes re-gripping my gun or putting bullets in my gun when I should have been shooting already. Now, obviously, production's great and it has its place, but it's, it just wasn't my favorite division. So, I mean, I still love it. I would probably go back to it if they gave me 15 rounds, but I wouldn't pick it over carry optics. I wouldn't pick it over open, and I certainly wouldn't pick it over PCC. I don't care how gay you call me because I shoot PCC. I really enjoyed that division. I still do. It's a great division, and I know people hate it, but it's because you've never shot it. And if you think you're going to be good at it, get your ass out there and let's rock and roll. We'll see what you got. Because I guarantee you're not going to do well. You think you might classify well, but when you start banging it out with the big boys, you're going to get your ass waxed. Period. Those guys are really good for a reason.
The people complaining about that are the people that aren't even worrying about the overall anyway. So what's
right? And that's usually how it works. The guys that complain the most aren't winning high overall anyway. Absolutely.
I think you should send me that Da Vinci to shoot in a few matches since you don't shoot.
Man, you might want to call your sponsor, bro. Listen, Craig's sponsored. I'm not sponsored anymore.
Not my sponsor.
Listen, you need to talk to Craig, bro. He's now the top dog at Da Vinci, not me. So he's the #1 sponsored shooter. So he's the man. So, hey, all right. So I will break down how I walk stages. I walk stages twice. So I walk it the first time, and then I walk it a second time completely. So I walk the entire this entire match, and then I go back and rewalk it again. When I go back the second time, I'm looking for details. I'm not looking to change the stage plan. I'm looking for details of the stage plan I already have. 99.99% of the time, the stage plan I have is what I want to run. It's just little details. Am I going to the left on the fault line? Am I going right on the fault line? How am I entering this right side? Am I backing out on a target? Am I entering a target? Am I shooting steel on the move? If I'm shooting the steel on the move, what does my footwork feel like? I'm rolling my feet. I'm shooting between those steps. I'm trigger prepping. I'm focusing on the details. The other thing that I do when I am walking stages, I am mentally focusing on a visual sight picture of a single spot in a target. It's the #1 thing that I changed this year in my shooting. The Florida Open was it was crazy for me, the breakthrough that I found. I mean, when I was walking those stages, I don't know what the hell I did, but when I walked those stages, I saw the holes in paper during my breakdowns, during my walkthroughs. I was picking a spot on those IPSC targets, and I think it had to do with because they were IPSC targets. And I know that accuracy on those tend to suffer. Not only that, but every target was wide open. So when you get into a hoser, I don't want to say hoser because it really wasn't a hoser match, but when you get into a match where there's no penalties, there's no, super far steal or anything crazy, no swingers, none of that stuff, you can get a lot of Charlies. And I was shooting open, and Charlies are still not acceptable when you're at my level. So I learned to really focus. So on my first walkthrough, I don't want to say I just go, okay, cool, I found the targets and that's it, because that's not how I walk stages. But I get a really good nailed down plan on the first one. But the second one is when it really comes through for me, where I'm like, all right, I can go to the house right now and literally walk you through the stage on every single footstep. If you were to say, hey, stage number 4, and you described it to me, I'd go, blah, 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 blah. I'm going this, reload, blah, 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 turn. I'm going to back out. I'm going to roll my feet. I can go from every single step that I've done because I spent that extra time on it. The details all happen in the walkthroughs, not after. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. And I think on stage 4, didn't you and Tyler change it at area 6?
I went to the right to left. Yes.
On the second or third walkthrough. I think it wasn't the first or second. I think it was the third.
And it was actually Tyler that found it. I think Tyler was the one that found it. I was like, bro, you're 100%. I think it was the way we attacked the back left steal.
Tom copied mine and Tyler.
Oh, great. Oh, jeez.
So anybody who's ever walked stages with Craig, whatever my ideas was his idea, just to say. I'm just saying.
But yeah, I think, still changed it. Yeah.
Dude, and there's another big thing. All right. You have to be open-minded with people that you shoot with, right? There are things that someone else might see. It doesn't matter what level they are. It just has to be an intelligent thought. It doesn't matter what level they are. If they see something that you didn't see, it could change your stage. It could 100% change your stage plan to be where you win the stage. Not just win the stage, but that could be the match win. That's all it takes sometimes for you to be second, third, fourth, or fifth, or to be first high overall. No questions asked in your division. It's little things that are a lot of times is just how you enter a position. Do I take this target on the left, or do I take the one entering? And then take the one on the left. It's a lot of this stuff isn't, there's no groundbreaking. Oh man, Tom learned how to flip upside down and shoot all alpha. It doesn't work like that. It's the little details that I do, that I teach and I train and I focus on as a shooter, that I give out to my friends and buddies that I shoot with and students, that are the details that matter, right? Those are the things that actually change my scores and where I gain speed without actually running around with my hair on fire. A lot of guys I shoot with or shoot against, they have to run around really fast. Well, they have to run around a lot faster than I do, right? Because I'm looking at efficiently shooting the entire time. That's what I'm looking for. That's the big thing about walking stages for me and I am looking at trying to shrink the amount of time I'm on a match. I will tell you, I physically paid in South Carolina for how long I was on the range the second day. So we were there. I try to get there a day before, like when staff shooting is when I try to get there. And then they have a second day of staff day at Nationals. I try to be there for both those days, right? I might not be there the first day for the full day, but I'm there enough that I can kind of get a visual of the stages and then come back a second day and really walk stages. Now I do that for a couple different reasons. Every match I go to, not every match, but I try to go to, every single match I try to go to, especially the bigger ones, I try to video the stage planning that I do. I break it down on camera and talk over the stages for my Insider Circle members. Every big match, like every Nationals, every Area 6 match, I have breakdowns for those. Not just breakdowns, but I walk the stages beforehand and then share that with my group. So it's hard to do that when other shooters are on the range. So that's a big thing. Number 2, it gives me an opportunity to rest. So my travel day is not the day that I have to focus on walking stages. because traveling beats the shit out of you mentally and physically. I don't care what anybody tells you. If you have to get on a plane or in a car and drive 8-9 hours, that beats the hell out of you. Then go into those and you have 18 people walking a stage in your way, talking shit to each other like we all do as friends. But then you have people that just walk up and start commenting about their stage plans, how they're going to get the fastest time, how your plan sucks. You have a lot of people out there that just don't understand that just keep your plan to yourself, kind of thing. You have that out there in this sport, unfortunately. But for me personally, I walk with all these guys. Like I've walked stages with all these guys. The first thing I do is I put my radio on and I don't want to hear shit from any of them. I don't want to hear what they think. I don't want to hear what their plan was. I don't want to hear any of it. I want to know what my plan is first. And then I take my radio off and go, okay, go. and then I get what everybody else's feedback is. I don't want anybody else's feedback or information in my brain until I've had a fresh look. When I go back for the second time, that is another opportunity for me to get a fresh look. So that's a big thing for me. But in South Carolina, I could not get the second look because the shooters kept coming and coming and coming and coming. Every time I got on a stage, I'm like, all right, cool. This guy's the last shooter. I would get up there, and as soon as I got up there, the damn squad was up. And I was like, all right, that's it. I'm done. That was 6 o'clock at night. So I was on the range the entire day trying to get those walkthroughs, and I couldn't. And I paid the price the next day. I mean, I couldn't get my hips to move. And the two guys, Tilly and Michael Wang, were killing it, bro. They were just crushing it. So me not feeling good physically, I just couldn't keep up. Those guys crushed it. So, I mean, and again, that's my fault. I knew that I didn't feel great because the weekend before I had traveled. So again, knowing that physical stuff is there, you have to pay attention to it. And where I was in South Carolina, what has it been, a month now?
Yeah, 2 months, month and a half.
So two months, a month and a half to 2 months ago, what I feel like today and what I feel like back then is a totally different person after been working out all this time. So when I left that match, dude, I just started going crazy with the working out. I work out 5 days a week and I work out hard. I've totally changed everything after that match. I was so pissed that I physically broke down that it just changed the way I shot. So but that's a big thing for me with walking stages. I really have got to get off the range on day 2 or the second walkthrough sooner. That's a big thing for me.
At Nats, what day are we showing up? Because we're shooting the 9th, 10th, and 11th, which is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then are we showing up Thursday or Wednesday?
I think we're there Wednesday. I think we're there Wednesday, but I'm not 100% sure. So we'll look at it when we get off here. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
So we can figure it out.
What we booked, but I'm like, we're talking about this. I'm like, huh.
No, it's fine. I want to talk about mistakes at the match because that's a big one. Actually, before I go into that, I'll go into lunch. And then we'll talk about mistakes because lunch is a big one. So you're going to have a lunch break at pretty much every single day, right? But I don't think you have you don't have a lunch break at nationals. So that's one thing you don't have to think about too much. You go through all 6 stages and then you're done for the day. So that's a good thing that you don't have to worry about. But I want to talk a little bit about lunch at big stages or at big matches. Don't eat the lunch. I highly recommend that you don't eat the lunch. If you do eat the lunch that they provide, eat half of it. Eat just the sandwich or, whatever you can eat, but don't eat the whole thing because when you are done eating, it's going to make you very, very lethargic.
Yeah, for sure.
Very lethargic. If you haven't noticed at every single match we go to, they don't give you a fruit basket. They don't give you a salad.
It's barbecue.
It's just heavy food.
Yeah.
Right. It's heavy filler food. It's not something that
lard.
Right. Yeah, pretty much. So Tyler, do you eat at the match?
Maybe a granola bar, maybe a banana.
That's what I've gone to now is I've gone to trail mix. I don't do trail mix with a bunch of sugar and shit in it. I mean, like I do I don't have raisins, but I don't do like chocolate or any of that stuff. I try to do more of a natural sugar if I'm going to do sugar. Todd, what do you do?
Barbecue. No.
Yeah, yes,
I don't
you
do that.
do. Yes, you
It
do.
used to be, honestly, I would have like hot tamales and code red
What
What are you
Always
trying to
hot
take? What are you
tamales.
trying
Yeah.
to take a shit at the range
No,
or
this
what?
is, but I'm changing it
laxative.
because
Hot tamale.
but it would give me that boost I needed to stay awake when I
Oh,
needed it.
yeah.
But you're gonna crash. Yeah. There's that crash too,
I'm
so
pretty sure Todd is the reason that Nationals had to clean their porta potties extra the very next year, and he wasn't even at the match. What the hell?
no, but
Freaking
but
hot
it's one of those things
tamales.
that it's now that we're done, it's new for me because I'm trying to switch to the kind of like you said, the natural trail mix to beef jerky to get some of that protein,
And that's perfect. Yeah.
to the non-sugar energy drinks that I'm trying out now, just because I know my diet wasn't the best and it was holding me back. And when I go there, you can ask Tyler, it's always Code Red Mountain Dew that I would drink throughout the day.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to, I'm cutting sodas almost all the way out. My caffeine's coming from black coffee and those no sugar energy, those little packet things. So
that's big, man. It's I'm telling you. So Craig, we shoot together all the time. You pretty much eat just a little bit of lunch meat or granola bars, kind of shit like that.
And granolas. Yep.
Yeah.
And
I
then,
started doing lunch meat. Lunch meat and cheese is what I would do. That's my big thing is I'll grab just a package of lunch meat and cheese, throw it in somebody's cooler. Craig usually has a cooler, throw it in their cooler. And I try to stay away from the breads and anything that's real heavy. Anything that just makes me.
I avoid it. I don't eat any of the barbecue. I'd never eat that stuff. It's easier, fruit like pineapples and then a trail mix and some protein bars but I'll eat that like throughout the day, like a little bit, not just like poof,
Raise.
And for me, and I think it was Kwanzaa on one of his podcasts on Stagers, or maybe somebody's that said you never want to get hungry at a match because the second you get hungry, that's when you're going to eat, and then you're not going. It's your mental game goes down, and then your next stage after you just ate a ton sucks because So you want to pace yourself throughout the day. And that's something that I'm trying now because I never cared about it before. Okay, I'm hungry. Let's eat whatever I threw in my bag and go.
So I never thought about that. That's a great point because now when you go to, you're hungry, now your brain goes to, I need to eat. And you're not thinking about stages. You're not focusing on what the task at hand is. Now you're like, my digestive system, I need to eat something. My belly, it's grumbling and rumbling. Let's go. So that's a good point. I mean, that's, again, there you go. Learning something new, right? Like, there's always something.
Not me, but yeah.
Well, no, you said it, so it was your idea. You can steal just like Eric. No, I'm just kidding. but I mean, this is the thing, bro. Listen, there's so many great things out there that if you just keep your ears open, you'll learn a lot. It's pretty amazing. Like I never thought of it that way. I mean, that's kind of common sense, but it's obviously not that common because I never thought of it that way. It's just when you think like that, it's important. Like those are little things. That's the stuff that, one of your questions was staying alert. Well, there it is. That's one of the ways to stay alert. Yeah.
Yep. And I think staying alert, Craig's talked about it some, is to staying hydrated and not taking that boost of sugar like I would with my hot tamales and stuff, but stay even throughout the day and figure out a way to do that. And that starts now at your locals, not like I did at Area 6. I'm just going to cut everything out and then have digestive issues for 3 days.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So last thing, unless you guys have something else after this, but this is my last thing. Mistakes at nationals or big matches in general.
I'm going to shoot it perfect.
Great topic.
Mistakes at nationals. They don't matter. No. Now, that being said, no one should go out there and be like, hell yeah, I can shoot as many mics or no shit I want, right? Or deltas, but you can't. But when you make mistakes, the biggest problem in this sport that I've seen personally when it comes to shooters in general is that the mistakes are actually what beats them, not their competitor. And what I mean by that is when they shoot a mic, they shoot a no shoot, the end of the world had just happened. They're throwing shit. They're pissed off. They're mad. They can't stop talking about it. All they talk about is the mic, the mistake, that. You can't have that. You cannot change that mistake ever. Once the no shoot is in there, you have a no shoot. Once you miss the target, you have a mic. Once you shoot a delta and you run off, you have a delta. You cannot change it. But guess what, folks? Everyone is going to make mistakes at that match, not just you. The lower the classification, the more mistakes you get. I want you to understand. I'm going to say that again. The lower your classification, the more mistakes you get. Do you want them? Absolutely not. Should you be striving to shoot perfect? Absolutely. But you should never allow a mic or a no shoot to affect your match ever, especially not the next stage or the stage after that or the stage after that. Once you walk away from that stage, it's over. And I'm going to explain why that's important. 21 stages. I mean, that's all you need to hear. 21 stages. It's like Tyler said it perfectly. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. It's 100% a long distance race at nationals.
Well, and to add to that, what I always like to tell Todd is like, I know everyone's going to make mistakes. I just need to make the least. And
absolutely. 100%, bro. Perfect. That was perfect right there. That's 100% correct. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is. No one wants to make mistakes. No one goes out there and goes, all right, guys, I got 5 mistakes in me. It's like, I got 5 mistakes in me. I got it all set up. I'm ready to go. I'm going to put it on that stage, that stage, and that stage. No one does that. So to sit there and go, I got this. No, you're going to make mistakes. And so is everyone else. Well, everyone else makes them.
It's something that I have to train out of the turtle self on myself is I don't have to shoot all alphas. I need to do it efficiently and quickly. And if I make that mistake, and I got to remember this at Nats, Tyler's going to have to tell me every day because he doesn't care about his shooting, but no, but to remember that you're going to make a mistake and allow you to make those mistakes. Because for me, if I'm shooting a good match or 90%, 95%, I'm going too slow. I have to remember to go fast enough that you're going to make mistakes, but minimize the mistakes at the same time. I think that's going to be key for me at nationals.
I think something that gets lost a little bit in shooting in general is you should be shooting your percentage of what you are as a shooter. So if you are a B class shooter, which is what, 85%?
Yeah. I mean, when I'm pushing myself, it's 83, 85. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So if you're shooting 85% of the points, you're probably shooting at the level that it takes to win nationals. You're a B class. I want you to, here's the thing. Everyone thinks that. So if you ever look at like the GMs that win nationals, they're shooting 93 to 95% of the points. The percentage, our classification system, as many flaws there is in our classification system with sandbaggers and people who grand bag and all these different things in our classification system, they're damn accurate to what you actually shoot at a match.
They are.
No one walks up and goes, I'm a grandmaster, I'm going to shoot a 95%. They just shoot to their level, right? They shoot to their level. So when you're shooting 85% of the points, you're probably giving yourself a really good chance to win the match. The only problem is people forget that little time thing is part of our points, right? Yeah. You're looking at 85% of, hell yeah, I'm shooting 85% of alphas over Charlies and deltas and mics. But that time thing is the hidden factor, right? Like you're shooting 85% of the points, but you're not getting 85% type hit factors. And that's where the issue comes in for most shooters is they're looking at it as in, oh man, I'm shooting good hits. Why aren't I winning? Because you're slow as shit. Like you're not pushing, you're not trying to win. So I'll tell you like this. And dude, I could talk about this specific subject every day, all day. I love this subject about how shooters hold themselves back because they're trying to, I don't know what they're trying to do.
Well, it's for me, it's getting outside my comfort zone. if I'm
So you
outside
don't
my
want to be
comfort
out of your
zone-
comfort zone at nationals, bro.
Kind of a big
I'm gonna tell
match.
you. Yeah, you
Well,
don't
no,
want to
but-
be outside of your comfort zone at nationals. That's what your job is right now. You should
I know.
absolutely suck right now for a little while, right? Like you seriously, you should have,
Yeah.
but you should suck at the point where you realize what you're doing wrong and start to clean those up. It should never be like in the next 3 weeks, every match you go to, if you have the same problems, then we've got some issues, right? Then you're not actually
Yeah.
fixing, you're just doing. And
You're
that's
just
an issue
doing it.
that most people run into when they're trying to get better. They just go out there and go, okay, Tom said go faster. Well, wait a minute. I said go faster, but you still need to focus on what faster means. It doesn't mean just go out there and start hosing, right? It means the effort
Oh.
level. How hard do you push to get from point A to point B that you can't shoot anything? How fast do you actually get the reload done? Those are the things that have zero to do with skill. You don't have to get better at shooting to be a better shooter.
Yeah, agreed. And it's like when the last match where I pushed myself and I had a ton of mistakes there. After that, I went back and watched the videos that I had, or I think about that stage. I knew why I made the mistakes. And that for me,
That's a big start.
I think in the last year and a half, that's a big, well, actually probably more like the last 9 months to a year. That's a big change where before shit, I'd have a couple mics on stage. I couldn't tell you I had the mics. I couldn't even
Yeah.
tell you probably where the mics were, but now
Yeah.
I can tell you which target it was, what I was doing. And there's one, as I did, I knew what I was doing because I freaking dropped my foot as I ripped a shot into a no shoot.
Just think if you would have videoed those 9 months ago, how much better you'd be though. Because
Well,
you
I've got-
slack off on the video. Oh, come on. Let's
Okay,
not,
the last-
let's not lie. Tyler videos when you're not paying attention, right? So
Well,
if you video
Yeah.
more 9 months ago, if you would have videoed more 9 months ago to today, you would have had a lot more knowledge.
True, but there's knowledge to digest that I've learned versus being able to just look at the video, because you can look at a video all day long, but if I don't realize what I'm looking
Yeah,
at, because
that's true.
I don't know, so I don't know if that's
Yeah.
true, but I can look at it now because of taking the classes, having conversations with you, Craig, Sam, Donovan, Aaron, all them. I can.
All right. Somebody commented on something. Let's see what it was.
Here comes. There's no fucking excuse. I'm just saying.
The best part is no one even said anything, and Todd busted out with why he was saying what he was getting in trouble for. Look, it's Pepe Le Pew.
No, but it's true though. But
man.
it's not an excuse. It's just the way it was.
That's awesome.
Nice. Focus.
Here comes the excuse. It's not an excuse. Like he's so mad.
You gotta edit
It's
this
not-
shit out.
It's not Tyler, you son of a bitch. Oh
This
my
part gets
God.
fucking edited out.
Now it's all breaking up. Look at it. All right, guys. Do you have any other questions?
Oh, we're lagging.
No. Can you hear me? Did we lag
Yes.
now?
I can hear you.
Tyler messed it all up, or
No,
Todd
we're
messed
lagging
it all
pretty
up
bad,
when he
though.
got mad.
No, there's no bad. Okay.
It's a, what? Yeah, you're breaking up so bad right now. All I heard was excuse.
Yeah.
Excuse.
It wasn't me. It was.
It wasn't me. It was Tyler. So the best part is
I am genuinely concerned.
Tyler's computer works, and he's sitting right next to Todd, and his computer isn't working in his own house. He's all lagging out. Look, Tyler's taking all the bandwidth.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Oh shit! Todd's face is still stuck on excuse. That's all I see.
Yeah.
All right. Do you guys have anybody? Anybody? Go ahead, Tyler.
Damn.
Well, what I will add is earlier I was talking about how I would try to find things that are advantageous or whatever on stage planning. And obviously I when I say that, what I meant to say was like things like picking my spot on targets and where am I going to enter and exit? How do my feet need to be? Like, I probably should have elaborated on that more, because yes, those are a lot, like all those things are things I need to, that I think about. And like, you know, so there's a lot more detail than I said it's advantageous, but
Yeah.
I think about a lot of things when I'm stage playing.
Yeah. How is the stage planning going now after the class? You feel like you're finding new little things, starting to pay attention a little bit more of like the flow instead of just shooting targets? Or
Yeah, well, I always feel like I was doing that. I think one thing I'm working on better now is obviously some of that flow. I'm definitely getting way more comfortable, like just moving and shooting. Like I feel like I like hardly stop anymore.
Yeah.
Like, and so like just being able to shoot while just like moving through a stage, like the flow feels much more. It's not like, I don't even have to, it feels natural. Like it feels way more natural than trying to run to the spot. And when I see like my friends doing it, I'm like, no, just go through this area, shoot sooner, you know, all those things. And it's like, it just seems like a no-brainer that like, you know, you just need somebody to explain to you. But like Craig was saying, the big thing is trying to find a way, how can I continually shoot through this entire stage with the least amount of dead time? And that is a big focus of mine now too, especially shooting high cap. Now I got those 24 rounds. It's nice being able to just cruise through a stage and just nail everything.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, man. It's that's good. That's what I wanted to hear. I was hoping that was what I was hearing, because we had after the class, we found a couple things in the class that I was just like, dude, this kind of identified that the 10 round thing, going to, you know, finding a section kind of explained a lot of where I was like, look, this is what's holding you back, right? Like the reason it was holding you back wasn't because you weren't shooting well. It was because you were rushing to spots instead of just eliminating targets everywhere you could go.
And blending the whole stage into one thing.
And that's what I know that was what it was. I could tell right away when we were walking stages, and I was just like, dude, he's so production oriented you shot it forever, right? Like that was your main division. You just switched over to 24 rounds, right?
My 5th year.
Yes.
I shot limited for most of this last year, and now carry optics for 2 months. Like, so it's really like 4 years of point A to point B to point C to point D to point finish.
Yeah. 8 or a 10 here and there. So yeah, for sure. It's a big change. It was, I figured it'd be I didn't think the dot was going to be an issue because your fundamentals were really, really good. Your grip's really, really good. So the dot part I knew was going to be easy for you.
Feels like
I figured some of the stage planning issue was going to come in there, not because you didn't know how to stage plan, but because I was like, it's a different game when you have nothing to stop you. You know, it's like when you can just start ripping, and at your level of shooting, it really matters. Like you have to find that different level of shooting when you get to your level, right? Like you can't go, okay, cool, I'm just going to run to a spot. You got to start finding those little tricks that to start taking your competition, right? Beating that competition. So, all right, man. All right, guys. So, Todd, where's your next match? Where's your next big match? Georgia?
Georgia's the next major that I'm shooting.
All right. Tyler?
Same thing.
Georgia? Craig?
Czech
Hold
Republic.
on. I want to make sure that we get this out because everybody needs to know. Craig McElhaney is going. Craig, where's your next match, buddy?
Czech Republic.
Oh, hey, everybody. Craig's going to Czech Republic to shoot a match. Just thought I'd let that know.
You're just jealous.
Have fun staying.
I remember when I was sponsored. That's all I can remember. So I remember when I was
did that for you, Craig.
I remember when I was the sponsored one. So, but whatever. I'm just
next level, bro. Revolutionary.
I'm just garbage. So, all right. So my next match is the Doc Welt. Woo.
Area 8. We're going.
Area 5, which would be my first match, my first or second area match of the year. Then I have a class. Nope, that one's gotten moved. I moved my Texas class because of the heat. Let's see. I have area 8 in August. Oh my God. Carry Optics Nationals in September. Pan American Games the very next week.
Yeah, no.
Area 4 right after that. Then I have a South Carolina class, ladies and gentlemen, October 1st and 2nd. I will be posting something about that this week, hopefully by the end of the week. I've just been super crazy busy and haven't had a chance. I already have a couple of those spots sold out. So I highly recommend that if you hear this, immediately go on there, tcsacoaching.com, and you will be able to find the class schedule. Then I have Open Nationals. And I think that's it. And then I have I have to figure out whether I'm going to do one of my own level 2 matches. We plan on putting on in November to.
I thought that's happening, right? I thought that's.
We're going to do a test run first, man.
Okay.
We're going to make sure that we can run it and not have any issues. So if anybody who doesn't know, we have a 5-bay, maybe 6. It looks like we're going to get 6-bay, but we have a 5-bay range that we're going to run 10 stages on. So basically how I would do is I'd build 5. We would shoot 5, mandatory lunch break, and then I would rotate things that I need to rotate, but have everything color coordinated so that I don't have to, there's no question what's stage 5 versus stage 1 or whatever it is, kind of thing. So that's kind of what we're doing, or stage 5 and stage 10. So that we're going to kind of do a test run. I have it all figured out how I want to do it, but we're going to be able to put 2 stages on. Everything's going to be built, and then one of the stages is going to be removed, or the material is going to be moved, and then we will bring those back in after lunch, and it'll be a completely different stage. So I'm excited about it. I think I've done something like this before for some of our other local matches, but this time it's going to be a big match. So we're actually going to do a cash match where we actually pay cash to the shooters on 3rd Sunday next month. So I'm excited about that. Kind of get a little test run, and we might actually make that match in November a cash match. We're trying to figure out what we want to do. So instead of trophies, cash in hand. So I don't know if that'll be better, but we'll see. And I'm also trying to do staff reset on that match, but I don't know. We are Area 6, but we are not Area 6. So, and I would like Todd to come down. So it probably has to be staff reset, because
if I'm coming, it's gotta be.
he doesn't do resetting. That's all I know.
At locals all the time. Don't lie.
Yeah. So all I know is, I think the only reason Todd squads with the same guys is because they pace for him and they carry him around on like a chair, so he doesn't have to
that's it.
walk around and stuff.
Or he has pacers on an extension. He sticks it in.
he just little stick reaches out from a chair.
Done that before, because
It was like 20 feet from the target.
He just throws the whole roll at the shit bucket.
I pasted it.
Todd's normal thing is, here's a pacer gun.
Yeah, here you go, guys. I got pacer guns.
That's
too.
all right. I usually run the timer tablet. So
Still not pasting. I'm just saying, there's no reset when you do those things. So it sounds like bullshit.
That's a lot of static. That's a lot of just standing there. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. He stands, and the way he scores, he's the pad guy. He stays all the way at the top. Yeah. What was that? 2 Delta, whatever.
no.
So, all right, guys, we are done for the podcast. I really appreciate you guys coming on. Anything else? Anybody have anything? Good.
I think we're good.
If you want to not suck, never take an off season.
Agreed.
Oh, Jesus.
Agreed.
That's
No
a whole
off season.
topic.
Oh, Todd, wait a minute. Did
That's
you
a
take an
whole-
off season?
Involuntary. It just fucking happened that way.
So the worst part, guys, I'll just do this real quick before I get out of here. Todd comes to one of my classes and absolutely crushes it. Completely different shooter from the first day to the last day. I keep up with him all the time. We're really good friends, so I'm keeping up with him. He's doing really well. Dumbass decides to take an off season right in the middle of a breakthrough, right when he was on the edge of taking a breakthrough.
It wasn't a choice. It's just, it was around Christmas.
Tyler, is that excuses?
Oh, there it is.
Oh,
Type it
my
in, Tyler.
fucking God.
Excuses.
Craig, I don't like you anymore.
I think from now on, I'm just gonna do a big beep. His bullshit excuses. So that's it.
Oh,
Yeah,
my God.
that's it, baby.
Charlie Brown's parents. Charlie Brown's parents.
Lots and it just happened that way. I don't have control over my own life. I don't know.
Tyler did it.
Yeah, man. You know what? You should probably go back and shoot single stack locally. You'd probably sound better.
I've never fucking shot single stack, and I never will.
Well, you sound like one.
You and Dougie.
Yep. Oh, Craig, I used to like you.
Ah.
Craig, thank you very much. I appreciate you.
That's
No, Craig's just happy that Tom's not picking on him now. It's me.
It doesn't bother me. Trust me.
Yeah, I don't bother him at all.
That's right. You spent 8 hours in the truck with him.
Ooh, you know what? That's the best conversation he's ever had in his life.
Oh my God.
He learned
Oh, yeah.
so much when we ride in the truck together.
Craig probably talks like 15% of the time, and you talk 85.
I'm like this, but
That's so true, though.
Oh my God, that was so good. That was so good. But can I just need to go pee. Shut up. Oh my God. I'm trying to talk over here. Oh shit. All right, guys. If you haven't had a chance to check out the Tom Castro Shooting Academy, please do. I think you guys will really enjoy it. It is something that I really put a lot of heart and effort into. I really enjoy it. I feel like it is a big bonus to anyone who's in there. You guys get breakdown videos, mindset videos. I do not put my workout videos in there, so don't worry. You don't have to go in there and work out. But I definitely put a lot of drills in there. Everything that I do to make myself a better shooter, I go into and I give you guys those tips. There's nothing I hold back. I really enjoy giving you that information. I have lots of classes coming up. Well, 2 classes coming up before the end of the year. So if you're looking for a class, hit me up on tcsacoaching.com, or you can also message me, Instagram, Facebook, Tom Castro Shooting Academy. I'm on all of those, YouTube, all of that good stuff. So I really appreciate you guys checking out the podcast, and I'll see you on the range.